personalized learning experience. With a 98% success rate, SoftAfric stands out. We don't just stop at training. We help you craft the perfect resume, ace your interviews, and support you even after you land the job. Why you'll love signing up with us. 1. Each learner gets a complimentary 1-year antivirus subscription for their computer. 2. Dedicated virtual machines are assigned to each student. We don't just stop at training. 3. We help you. Students can access recorded classes to review each session as needed. 4. Test banks are available to prepare students for the exam. Our lectures are scheduled from Thursday to Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with 2-hour sessions that fit into your schedule. Join the ranks of successful cybersecurity professionals today. Enroll now at SoftAfric by emailing us at elearning@softafrique.net or calling 4089615150. Your future in cybersecurity starts here. Are you ready to become a cybersecurity professional in just 4 months? At SoftAfric, we provide the perfect blend of theory and hands-on experience to prepare you for the job market even before you graduate. Our state-of-the-art virtual labs ensure you gain practical skills. Dedicated virtual machines are assigned to each student, giving you a personalized learning experience. With a 98% success rate, SoftAfric stands out. We don't just stop at training. We help you craft the perfect resume, ace your interviews, and support you even after you land the job. Why you'll love signing up with us. 1. Each learner gets a complimentary 1-year antivirus subscription for their computer. 2. Dedicated virtual machines are assigned to each student. 3. Students can access recorded classes to review each session as needed. 4. Test banks are available to prepare students for the exam. Our lectures are scheduled from Thursday to Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with 2-hour sessions that fit into your schedule. Join the ranks of successful cybersecurity professionals today. Enroll now at SoftAfric by emailing us at elearning@softafrique.net or calling 4089615150. Your future in cybersecurity.
Welcome to another exciting episode, and I hope you guys are doing fine and you can hear me too. So let's actually look at what we have for today. Today our discussion will be centered from the MTN Ghana data breach. But then before we continue, we have to watch our video and analyze the video first. That's a security awareness training. That's always what we do for the first start. So we'll do the security awareness training. We look at the video. I'll play the video 2 times. Make sure you follow through with the video. And after we are done, we look at the discussion about MTN data breach and what are the consequences. And then we will actually talk about what they can do better to solve these things, or what could have been the issue that led to this compromise. Okay, so let's first do our security awareness training, and then let's continue from there.
For over a year, the ride-sharing service Uber hid a hack that exposed the sensitive data of 57 million of its users and drivers. The stolen information included names, driver's license numbers, email addresses, and phone numbers. Uber paid the hackers $100,000 to destroy the stolen data and keep the breach quiet, further eroding the public's trust. Fired? What do you mean, fired?
I mean exactly what I said. You purposely hid this information from me, so I have no choice. You're gone, effective immediately.
This is crazy.
Not sure why. The forensic investigation confirmed you not only knew about the hack a year ago when it happened, but you encouraged the payment of the $100,000 ransom the hackers were demanding.
So? It's not a crime to pay hackers a ransom.
True, but it is illegal to request the hackers destroy the stolen data, which you did. In fact, that's a violation of FTC rules prohibiting companies from destroying evidence of a breach.
And quite frankly, I was appalled by what I learned about how the hackers got into our network in the first place.
Oh, don't tell me. That's my fault too?
Well, who else's fault would it be? The hackers figured out your position as CFO from social media and used that to get the physical address of your home, where, because of your laziness, you had IT set up a point-to-point VPN connection between work and home with no additional authentication. This meant every device at your home had access to the company network. Your house was essentially an unprotected extension of the company network, Dan, with iPads, Xboxes, and who knows what else attached. The hackers drove to your house, parked outside, and because you wanted to make things easy on your visitors, you had a guest wireless network set up with no password on the same network as all of your other devices. I mean, you could have at least hid your SSID when you weren't having guests, so you weren't broadcasting your wireless network to the entire world. But you didn't. So in less than a second, the hackers were able to grab your wireless signal and install an app on your son's iPad that looked like a piece of candy.
Candy?
It's a slang term for gaming apps. Only it wasn't really a piece of candy, but malware with a candy wrapper. It was only a matter of time before your son clicked on the candy. And once he did, the malware downloaded all the user and driver records onto the iPad, which the hackers had a direct connection with and were able to tap into to collect all the data.
How was I supposed to know setting up that direct connection would leave the company vulnerable? I mean, someone in the IT department should have explained that to me.
Come on, Dan. Don't you think I did my homework? Everyone in the IT department agrees. They told you about the risk, detailing not only why connecting your home to your business network is a bad idea, but that a much better solution would have been to have a single computer, your laptop, for example, as the only device allowed to connect to the company network. But rather than listen to their advice, Dan, you chose to ignore it, demanding they allow you to have the direct connection in order to free yourself from the hassles of using login credentials.
Okay, look, I admit it was a bad idea. But can you reconsider? For me, I've been here since day one. Doesn't that mean anything?
That's the point, Dan. It doesn't matter who you are or what your ranking is in the company. We're all beholden to the same vulnerabilities and security measures as the next person, especially those of us at the top. We need to lead by example, and you didn't. I'm sorry, Dan. My decision is final.
Fine. Unbelievable.
It's moments like this that make being CEO the hardest job in the world.
I can imagine. But the public, as well as our investors, need to know the company's in good hands, and that the new leadership has learned from past mistakes and is taking the company in a new direction. You're merely fulfilling on that promise.
For over a year, the ride-sharing service Uber hid a hack that exposed the sensitive data of 57 million of its users and drivers. The stolen information included names, driver's license numbers, email addresses, and phone numbers. Uber paid the hackers $100,000 to destroy the stolen data and keep the breach quiet, further eroding the public's trust. Fired? What do you mean, fired?
I mean exactly what I said. You purposely hid this information from me, so I have no choice. You're gone, effective immediately.
This is crazy.
Not sure why. The forensic investigation confirmed you not only knew about the hack a year ago when it happened, but you encouraged the payment of the $100,000 ransom the hackers were demanding.
So? It's not a crime to pay hackers a ransom.
True, But it is illegal to request the hackers destroy the stolen data, which you did. In fact, that's a violation of FTC rules prohibiting companies from destroying evidence of a breach.
And quite frankly, I was appalled by what I learned about how the hackers got into our network in the first place.
Oh, don't tell me. That's my fault too?
Well, who else's fault would it be? The hackers figured out your position as CFO from social media and used that to get the physical address of your home, where, because of your laziness, you had IT set up a point-to-point VPN connection between work and home with no additional authentication. This meant every device at your home had access to the company network. Your house was essentially an unprotected extension of the company network, Dan, with iPads, Xboxes, and who knows what else attached. The hackers drove to your house, parked outside, and because you wanted to make things easy on your visitors, you had a guest wireless network set up with no password on the same network as all of your other devices. Now, you could have at least hid your SSID when you weren't having guests, so you weren't broadcasting your wireless network to the entire world. But you didn't. So in less than a second, the hackers were able to grab your wireless signal and install an app on your son's iPad that looked like a piece of candy.
Candy?
It's a slang term for gaming apps. Only it wasn't really a piece of candy, but malware with a candy wrapper. It was only a matter of time before your son clicked on the candy. And once he did, the malware downloaded all the user and driver records onto the iPad, which the hackers had a direct connection with and were able to tap into to collect all the data.
How was I supposed to know setting up that direct connection would leave the company vulnerable? I mean, someone in the IT department should have explained that to me.
Come on, Dan. Don't you think I did my homework? Everyone in the IT department agrees. They told you about the risk. Detailing not only why connecting your home to your business network is a bad idea, but that a much better solution would have been to have a single computer, your laptop, for example, as the only device allowed to connect to the company network. But rather than listen to their advice, Dan, you chose to ignore it, demanding they allow you to have the direct connection in order to free yourself from the hassles of using login credentials.
Okay, look, I admit it was a bad idea. But can you reconsider? For me, I've been here since day one. Doesn't that mean anything?
That's the point, Dan. It doesn't matter who you are or what your ranking is in the company. We're all beholden to the same vulnerabilities and security measures as the next person, especially those of us at the top. We need to lead by example, and you didn't. I'm sorry, Dan. My decision is final.
Fine. Unbelievable.
It's moments like this that make being CEO the hardest job in the world.
I can imagine. But the public, as well as our investors, need to know the company's in good hands. And that the new leadership has learned from past mistakes and is taking the company in a new direction. You're merely fulfilling on that promise.
All right, so welcome back from the video. All right, let's actually look at it and let's take our quiz, then we move to our discussion. Okay, so we have 4 questions, and I'll read the questions based on what we heard or based on what we watched. You'll use it to answer these questions. Okay, so please provide me the answer once I read the questions. Please provide me the answer so that we know that we've learned something or two, and then we can actually maybe tell people about what we just learned, so on and so forth. So the first question is, setting up a Wi-Fi network with weak password without a password or with your SSID exposed would put all your devices on the network at risk. True or false? Setting up a Wi-Fi network is true. Okay. All right, perfect. All right, question number 2. If attackers gain access to your network, malware can be installed and disguised on your device as different applications. True or false?
True.
It is true, I believe. And then question number 3. The higher you rank in the organization, the more of a target you are. So it is important to follow your security policies, true or false.
Very true.
True.
It's true. Okay. All right. When connecting through a VPN that requires a password, it should be configured to save your VPN password. That way, you don't have to enter it every time, true or false.
True.
Sure that if, let's say, you are connecting to a VPN where you have to type in your password, you think your system should be saved so that anytime you come in, you don't need to enter your password? Do you think it's a good idea that in an account, you don't need to enter your password anytime?
It's false. That's false.
Yeah, I also agree that's false. But then, yes, let's see. All right, so yes, that answer was false. So back to our discussion we'll be having for today, even though the topic will be centered upon encryption, right? But MTN Ghana has actually released a statement this week that they have suffered a data breach, right? And this data breach has affected 5,700 customers, and that these things are in the investigations. And based on this statement, MTN didn't tell us what the issue was, or who the blame was, or how these people were able to access the accounts. So MTN is keep on saying that yes, they have everything in place and they are making sure that these things never happen. Now, MTN, as you know, or if you're in Ghana, MTN is one of the leading brands in terms of network provider and then mobile money transfer that we use in this country. And we came here to have a discussion earlier when one person actually suffered an attack, and MTN came out to say it was social engineering. That was like 3 weeks or 4 weeks ago. And then we tried to analyze the issue and look at how maybe if it was social engineering or not. And then down the line, MTN has released a statement that their system has been breached. So is it a possibility that during the time that the woman was complaining, their system was breached and MTN knew about it, but they didn't come out to say, or was that really a social engineering attack? And this new breach is different. You see, these are all things that we can look at today. But then MTN actually says that 5,700 people data has been compromised, or data has been given out to the attackers. Does it mean that MTN as a big company in Ghana do not have data encrypted, that people's information like your number, your name, your mobile money pin, your information, is it that MTN have all these things in plain text, or MTN hasn't encrypted all these things? What is the issue? But before we try to dissect and you guys will share your idea, we should look at what encryption is. Okay, we just have to do maybe a 10 minutes introduction of what encryption is. And after that, we talk about what could be the issue and other experiences and other informations you've heard about this data breach. Okay, so, and also government agencies have also released a statement, and the Ministry of Communications, in collaboration with the Cybersecurity Authority and the Data Protection Commission, has also released a statement that they will investigate this breach and then they will make sure that they find the root cause of it. And if MTN is liable, MTN will face the penalties in accordance to Ghana data laws protection. So this is how serious the issue is. And after that discussion, we will look at what is the implications for MTN, and if you are a company, if you suffer these attacks, what can be the issue also for you, because if you are leading your company's cyber front and these happen, will you be blamed? Will you be fired? Just like we watch a video, what would be your fate? So let's just do a quick intro about data protection and encryption. Right. So just like we know, right, when the internet was actually there, or when the internet was being created, people who made the internet what it is or what we use now did not really factor in security. At first, it was more about how to make websites active, how to send data on the internet, how you can set up emails, how we can make sure two people can talk over a network. You see all the things, and they were upgrading, and later on, they realized that security is also important. Just as people can sit at different places to connect and have conversations and send informations, there also is the possibility that this information that people are sharing can be exploited. So you realize that all the protocols that we had earlier have a better version. So websites now have a better version, that is HTTPS, where now anything we do with the website is secured. So the S has been added. First, it was HTTP. When we were way back in school, they would tell us HTTP, www. You go to that particular website. But now it is HTTPS, where they add an S to make sure that that data is secured. You see, so all these things came out as a result of what we call encryption. Encryption has come to add a layer of security on the internet on systems, because at first data was being sent in plain text. People's data, people's information was being sent just as how it is. And it was also being saved as just how it is. But because of something called encryption, now there is a step that protects these data, right? So what is this type of encryption? Encryption is where, or it's a method where we protect data by putting the data in a way that it is not accessible by anybody else, unless you have something called a key. I think there is some background noise that I'm hearing. Please, who it is, please make sure. Um, uh, okay. So, yes. So if you don't have the key is more like a password or a random string of numbers that you put in to make sure you read the message. So the message has been encoded in a way that if you open it, there is no way you'll be able to read it, or there's no way you'll be able to understand it unless you have the key to open it with. So the method of encryption deals with first locking up the data and then opening up the data. So encryption starts, or data encryption starts with you first encrypting the message and then also decrypting the message. That is the ability to open the message. This is all what it is. Data encryption can be applied to documents, files, messages, any form of communication over a network, and any file format can be encrypted. You see, and how does encryption actually works? So we have a message here where somebody wants to send a message to someone, right? That they are breaking up, right? So there's that girl is the sender, and the girl has found out what her boyfriend was doing and was bad. So we are breaking up. So he is sending the boyfriend a text, but he doesn't want anybody else to read this text. So what this sender will do is to pick the message, use a key to lock it up. And after doing that, he will send the message to the boyfriend, soon to be ex, and the boyfriend will also use that same key, or he will attach the key to the boyfriend, or there might be a situation where he will use a different key, but then the boyfriend can use the same message to try and read this information. That is what encryption is about. So it is locking up data, locking up information in such a way that if you don't have a key, you can't, you won't be able to read whatever it is inside that message. And encryption is used in every part or every step of networking and the use of the internet, right? So generally, we have two types, symmetric and asymmetric, right? These are just two types for encryption. What makes these different is that with the symmetric, you need only one key or you need only one password. So it is the same password or the same key that you use to lock the file up. If you want to read it, or if somebody else somewhere would want to read it, the person also needs the same key. So it is one key for encryption and then the other key for decryption. That is symmetric data encryption. It is just one key system or a shared key system. Okay. And then we have a different type called asymmetric, where we need two passwords. So to lock this up, we need one key to lock it up and a pair of key to open it up. So if you would want to use symmetric data encryption, you must get two keys. And like I said, the keys are just like passwords and things. So you just need two of them. You need one to lock the door, and you need the other pair to open the door. Here, one key can't open and the other key can't lock it. You just need different key. Just like in your house, where every time, once you close your door, you are locking your door, you just need one key. But here, if you use one key to open the door, you need the other pair to lock it. If you use the other pair to open, you need your pair to close it. That is what asymmetric actually means. Okay, so mostly asymmetric is used on networks because it is faster and it is, I won't say better, but it has its advantages. On the other hand, which is the symmetric, that is only the key, it is mostly used for bulk encryption, right? It is only used for bulk encryption. That is, let's say you have large volumes of data in your organization or in your laptop, on your laptop, where you don't want anybody else to read it. Maybe you have a lot of siblings, or maybe you give your laptop out to people, but there are some information on your computer. You don't want anybody else to see it. So if those information, you'd want to lock it up, you can use this type of encryption to do that. Okay. And if you give the computer out, since the other persons or the other people do not know, do not have the other pair, or do not have the key, they won't be able to read your confidential or your sensitive information. This is the method that FBI, CIA, government agencies, they use to classify their files so that the file won't be seen by anybody else unless maybe the top executives, because only them have the keys to this information. And after a while, they will just declassify them after years and so on and so forth. But the key objectives of the encryption is that we want to keep confidentiality in such a way that for those who are supposed to view the documents are the ones we want them to do. We don't want any other eyes aside the ones we want. Data integrity actually deals with the same information I am sending to you. it is the same information that I want, because my information that I'm sending to you in America, that information will be locked up and encrypted before it reaches you. So as it reaches you, you also open it up and you read that information. And it does it so fast that the moment I click on send, this information is encrypted and transfers over the network. So it reaches your side, and you also open it up, and so on and so forth. So it ensures that data is protected, data is not changed at what step it is. And then authentication, as in we can use encryption to verify each other, to authenticate systems. Okay, so that you can prove to the system that it is who you are, this is who you are, so on and so forth. So let's say that you have a website, right? You log into the website differently in a different format, where you go to the website, you say, website, I want to log into you, to my account. They also have to tell you that, okay, encrypt these things, or let me see your password. So you provide your password, and then your password will go. But these things can be encrypted. These processes, everything can be encrypted, and it can be used to authenticate you. So in the earlier stages of network connections and so on and so forth, the system has a method of encryption or a method of ciphering things. So the system can give you a word that, if indeed you claim to be who you are, I want you to make this word in a format that I understand, because you already have or you already know the information. You take this word, put it through some things, get out the encrypted version of the word, and then you bring it back. That is the idea of that authentication. And then we also have non-repudiation, which actually means that with encryption, mostly the two key system, that is the asymmetric, where we use two keys. So I have one key, you also have other key. So if you are friends, right, I have key A, you have key B. If I send you a message with my key B, you will use your key A to read the message. If you also send me a message with your key A, I will need my key B to read that message. So it goes hand in hand. So in the non-repudiation, there is no way that you can deny you were the one who did this and did that, because you are the only person who had an extra pair. When anything happens, we can track it to you, because the keys are two. We are giving you one. I have one. So imagine that with our door system, if we use it asymmetric and we share the same room, right? If I'm going out, I'll use my key to lock it. And if you're coming into the room, you use your other pair to open it, because I know you come before me. So use your other pair to open it. So if I come and the door is open, I assume that it is you, because it is you that you have the other pair who can open the door, or our door. You get it? So we can trace it, and we can know that this person, that person did this, and you can't deny access to that. That actually is what these principles are. And then we look at the two differences. So symmetric uses one key, asymmetric uses two keys. Simple. With symmetric, it is difficult to share the keys, because if I have logged the data with symmetric, there is only one key. If I want 200 people to see this data, I need to send this same key or the same password, example, to these 300 people. So you see how it doesn't make sense. What is the possibility that this key will not fall in the hands of somebody not in the 200 group? Or what is the possibility that if anything happens to the data, who can I blame? Because I made sure that I send the key to 200 people that they can access my laptop because I've given them permission. I've given them my key to access my laptop. So if you come and there's something missing on your laptop, who will you blame? So better key distribution, scalability for asymmetry, because it's just two keys. I'll take one on my end and I'll just give the other one out. The other one that I give out is better for me to share it because I know I'm giving this one to you. If anything happens, I can come to you and I say, you are the one who did it because I gave you this key, so on and so forth. Now, symmetric is very, very fast because it's just one time. You just need one key to encrypt. With asymmetric, it is slow because you need one key to encrypt, the other key to decrypt. So as a result of this, asymmetric are not used for large files. You see, they are not used for big files. They are used for small blocks of data. I'm sending you a message online. You are sending me a message online, asymmetric, because small pieces of data, that is better. And asymmetric is also used for digital signatures, digital certificates, so on and so forth. Now, the reason why I just made it fast is I just want us to understand what encryption is. And we can now come back to a discussion where MTN says that it has had a data breach where 5,700 customers' data have been leaked or the attackers have gained access to them. Are we trying to say that a company like MTN didn't encrypt people's data? Because for what I know, these companies, the modern ones, every data that comes in from their customers, they encrypt them. They make sure that if you are registering with them, your name, your passwords, your identity, everything is stored on their server, but as it is stored on their server, it is encrypted on their server. So even if the attackers are able to get into the systems of MTN, the data that they find, this data, it is difficult for the attackers to read. So the attackers will not end up using the data because it is encrypted. It will be difficult for them to break or crack it. You get it? So the systems will be put in place in such a way that it will be difficult for them to crack it. That is for encryption. So the two settings, and I believe that depending on what happens in the company, I know that MTN uses at least two of these things. Because if I come in, I register with them, they take my data, they will take my pictures, they'll take my fingerprint, just like every banking app will do. But stored on their systems, they must make sure that on their systems, it is encrypted, it is locked up in a way that attackers, even if they come in, attackers will not be able to read this information and use it for other things. You get it? So that is one thing that we are looking at. Or is it that the attackers compromise the company? After compromising the company, they found out the key or the system MTN was using, and they were able to decrypt that. If that's how the system was, what do you guys think? What do you actually think about this whole system thing? What do you guys think about this whole saga that is happening? And I bet we are all interested in this issue. Anybody else with an idea or what happened or what you've heard on the news? you can by raising up your hand so that we take your suggestions or your submissions. Okay, so I bet there are no submissions about this issue, so that will be fine. We'll continue. Now, it is rumored that MTN actually suffered the breach 5 months ago, 5 weeks ago, but they didn't actually say anything. They kept on with the information, they didn't tell the general public about anything. And now is the time that they are telling the general public, maybe because there was a court. So that is something that is trending, that is happening over on social media, right? Now, there are consequences to these things, right? Because in every system, there are logs, there are tracks, there will be forensic teams who will come inside, maybe from the government side, or maybe from a third party, or even if there's a court order, there can be a team of forensics who come inside the systems of MTN to make investigations. The investigations will find out exactly how these people were able to compromise the systems of MTN when this occur and what was compromised at the end of the day. Was it more than the 5,700 people that MTN is recording or less? How far or how much damage did these people actually create? If these people created on everything that we find, now it is a compliance rule that as a company, wherever you are working with, if you suffer a breach, you must record it as soon as you see it. So if you are MTN and your systems are breached today, if you've seen it today, by tomorrow, you should inform the appropriate authorities. And in Ghana, our situation, MTN should have informed Data Protection Commission, that the DPC, and then also the Cybersecurity Association of Ghana, the CSA. And if MTN fails to do this, it is unlawful and there will be penalties. There will be fines. Why? Because if MTN came out to say, we've suffered a breach, maybe the next day after they got this information, people can then protect themselves. If you know that maybe your mobile money, or if you know that, let's say, your identity is compromised, you would take further steps to protect yourself. You should make sure you don't even have money in your account. You make sure you don't use this, you don't do that, so that it doesn't further on affect you. So if, let's say, your identity is compromised, the person can use your name, your number, and everything to take money from people. So if, let's say, MTN informs these 5,000 people that your data have been compromised yesterday, so you must act fast today, then you know that, okay, personally, you make sure you let people around you know that if anybody pretends to be mean to ask you for money, don't do it. You make sure that if you have money in your account, you have to move it outside or withdraw it. You make sure that you don't go to places, you don't click on links, you'll be vigilant enough to prevent these things. So if all these things are not said, and the forensic team, just like the the Ghana Cybersecurity Authority is saying, the DPC and the National Communications has also released a statement. Now, if they find out about these things that MTN withholding this information, then MTN can actually be fined a tune of $20 million based on this particular incident, because MTN is a company that can make a profit of $1 billion in the Ghanaian market every service. So you'll be fined a percentage of your earnings. So they will look at last year earnings. They will look at how much you made, because we know that every company releases their statement at the end of the year or quarterly or twice a month. Every company will release their statements. So you look at that, and then the authority itself will fine you this percentage of your profit, right? And also, for every day that you withheld this information, there will be a multiplication to an amount. So if you have been withholding this information for like 5 weeks, which is 5, 7, 35 days, then there will also be a sanction for that if MTN is liable to all these. And then also individual people who have made losses. If, let's say, you were part of the system compromise, you have made a loss, you can also take them on because you are entitled to damages and the consequences that this cause or this breach have caused you. You get it? So this is a serious issue. A data breach is a serious issue. If you work or if you are a financial institution, because we have financial compliances and a lot of things. And then if MTN, like I said, also is found liable to this data breach, then their systems, their personnel, there have to be a revamp. There have to be a reshuffle. The appropriate authorities must ensure that they put the right systems in place. They make sure they retrain their staff. If they have to fire people and hire new people, then they should, because their reputation is also on the line. But the sad issue in this country is that even though this data breach is a big thing that can actually cost MTN millions, they have built their reputation in such a way that this thing can't break them down. Because mind you, MTN is everywhere you go. So a lot of people actually get better service at different parts of the country as compared to other network providers. And also, it is easier for you to find an MTN vendor, Momo vendor somewhere than the other telcos. So MTN's reputation has been built in such a way that they dominate the Ghanaian mobile money market. Even with this compromise, their reputation is still in a balance. Maybe if it follows subsequently, then their reputation would be dropping. You get it? So the importance of encryption here is that if MTN, just like they are saying that 5,700 people's information has been compromised, if MTN had encryption in place, even if these 5,000 sets of data was seen by attackers, it is difficult for the attackers to have access to them, or for the attackers to dissect and look at the actual meaning, because the information is put in such a way that if you don't have the key to read it, you wouldn't know. And if you want to do reverse engineering, it would take the attackers years, even millions of years. And I don't think anybody would spend time or spend that much time to dissect this information. You get it? So the importance of encryption cannot be understated. It is a fundamental principle that protects security systems, the things we do on the internet, our information that is being shared out to websites, our information that is being shared out to companies. We buy things online all the time. We use our credit cards, we use our numbers, we use our information, our name, our where we stay, where it should be delivered to, our address. All these things are very, very serious. If any of these things are compromised, you will know how dangerous it is that somebody knows your name, knows your account number, knows where you stay, knows your family, knows your next of kin, knows your where you work at. This actually is serious. So the method that makes sure these things are protected is encryption. So is it that MTN didn't encrypt its data, or it was an insider job that somebody working within was the one who actually did that? So the main thing that cybersecurity experts and the security people are saying is that it is likely that this can be an insider job where somebody within was contacted and was able to assist the cyber criminals. Or it can also be a third party risk where MTN shares its API with a lot of people or a lot of companies. So you are buying something online, you input your name, you select MTN mobile money, then you get a request to confirm your payment. These are third parties that are working with MTN. So MTN will take the money, or give them, will take their share, will take their cuts, and then they will give the rest to these third party vendors and restaurants and online shopping places and things and so on. So if your systems are not strong enough, or if you don't segregate and create a part of your system that is separate from all these third parties, one third party risk or one third party compromise can also affect your company. And imagine the number of third parties MTN or these mobile money or our banks even work with. Every system that wants to use maybe the bank will just contact them. They will have an agreement. The bank will give them their API. They will put their API on their system, and then so on and so forth and so forth. Then it is easier for them to do business. So this is how dangerous data breach is. And then the other likely outcome or the likely cause of this data breach can be vulnerabilities, where with the MTN application and its setup, me personally, I believe the vulnerability might be from there. So with these vulnerabilities existing on this MTN app and MTN system, the attackers might have exploited these vulnerabilities to cause this data breach. This is just from what I've heard online and my personal investigations about this MTN data breach. But then if you are using MTN for mobile money and you are here, MTN say they are working on it. The authorities also say they are making sure that MTN system will be back and they'll find the root cause of this particular information. But if you make sure you deposit money there, do it in the old-fashioned system. The application is not trustworthy as of now. So try using the short codes to make your transactions, and then be wary of links and people who call you to pretend to be your friend, and you get this thing free. You've won an iPhone, you've won a package, we are sending you and all these, and be wary of that wherever you are. This is where I'll end my submission. Any other questions? Anything before we end with this particular seminar about MTN's data breach this week? Anything else to say, or any question before we move on? Are we okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
No. All right. So I bet the rest of you are, and you will take further steps to educate the people around you. And if an issue arises, you will be conscious enough to make sure you don't lose your money, or your systems are not compromised, or your data is not breached. So if you have sensitive information on your systems, you can encrypt these things. There are lots of encryption tools out there. Your Windows laptop comes with its own BitLocker encryption that you can also use to encrypt files there. If you don't want an external tool, you can use that BitLocker to encrypt files, so that even if your laptop gets missing or somebody else takes your laptop, the data on your laptop is secured and the person will not be able to read and make meaning out of it. That is the end of today's presentation. At the end, we learned about MTN data breach this week. We also talked about the possibilities, the consequences for MTN, and also how to protect our system personally, our laptops, with encryption. That is what we've done for today. So this will be the end, and I thank you guys for joining us here and for listening and for sharing ideas about today's topic. We'll meet next week, Wednesday, same time, same place, same people. Thank you guys. See you next week.
Thank you. Thank you.